Now in this video, I want to tell you about the job situation in London, particularly in the finance industry. And the truth is the job market is kind of collapsing in London, in many major Western countries, partly due to the recession or potential economic depression, but also due to a lot of jobs being outsourced and offshored to different countries, whether it's to India, Mumbai work centers, Bombay work centers, or through to Eastern Europe, or jobs being automated, or due to artificial intelligence, things like that. So there's many situations to discuss here. Now, I've worked at Goldman Sachs, HSBC, Morgan Stanley, studied economics at London School of Economics, and there's a bit of a screenshot of a few those evidence backing that. So let's get into this news article here. London banking jobs have fallen 80% in 7 years. 80% in 7 years. That is a lot, right? So I really want you to think about that. That is a massive amount. Now, I know a lot of people, they're kind of, worried about their job security, and rightfully so, to be fair. And it's a bit of a difficult scenario. So in this video, let's cover and understand what is going on exactly in terms of these job losses and what are some solutions that you can look into. So here we've got an interesting graph. It's called New Financial Service Jobs on the Market in London 2017 to present, right? So you can see there's a clear decline. There's a clear decline here. So if those jobs are falling, they've fallen up to the kind of pandemic era. They went up slightly and now they're back down. So that's the key trends we can see is the general downward trend and slight volatility there. Now, what can we really learn from this? Now, I work with my clients to help them find top corporate banking jobs, different jobs which I'll cover later in the video. I help them find jobs by speaking with recruiters and so on. I've spoken to recruiters quite actively, particularly in recent years. And the truth is, this is a reality. Regardless of what people try to say to you, maybe if you're looking for a new job, they'll find a new job easily, things like that. This is the reality of what's going on in the finance industry in terms of jobs in London. Now, many of these jobs are moving overseas. As I say, I've worked at a major investment bank where what they did was they were top high-paying, 100K a year, six-figure jobs in London, in New York. And what these jobs were for top graduates coming out of university to get their first bit of finance experience. And those jobs have been offshored and outsourced to places like India. So it really makes you think it's not just those super low skill back office jobs that are being outsourced, but even top paying, high paying jobs on the trading floor. Those are being moved to, as I say, whether that's India or Eastern Europe or lower cost locations. So it's worthwhile considering this type of scenario when you are, looking for a job, and it might be difficult out there to find a new job. There are some positives here that I mentioned later in the article. We have a, recruitment expert from Morgan McKinley, which is a major recruitment firm in the UK, in London, and they talked about being quite positive for M&A and underwriting. So if you're looking at investment banking roles, merger and acquisition teams might be growing, underwriting teams and maybe the debt analysis teams might be growing, and so on. And he mentioned something about the Morgan Stanley CEO who's looking at some opportunistic hiring and so on. So what can we take away from this? Of course, it's not all doom and gloom. So there are some positive aspects we can see here, but we have to really be realistic with what's possible, what you can achieve, and what the changing dynamics are in the economic market, which again, you're not going to get a lot of these honest answers from the media. And that's why someone like myself, who's worked in the industry for over 10 years, can help you with. Now, what are the solutions to this? If you are in the London job market, in the finance industry, you're seeing that 80% decline in jobs. You're seeing a graph, as we can see here, with this massive decline in terms of jobs. What are the actual solutions here, right? Now, firstly, if you've worked in London for a long time and you have that experience in the finance industry, and you can see the 80% decline when you are looking for your new job, because there have been a lot of layoffs in Citi, in Morgan Stanley, and you see that 80% decline. What you could do, number one, is upskill yourself, develop alternative skills that will allow you to work in other industries and leverage those finance skills. So maybe you have finance risk operation skills, maybe consider a qualification you could add to that, whether that's tech skills, doing a tech boot camp, things like that, looking to go into the tech industry and combining your tech and finance skills, offering that on a freelance basis, maybe moving into the medical industry or the government type of jobs that might be slightly lower paying, but it gives you more job stability. They're going to pay you a bigger pension. If you're older, maybe you can do that if you have more experience. Maybe you can also move into other markets. Now, if you upskill yourself, maybe do more professional qualifications and look for alternative industries, that's a good thing. But also look for jobs outside of traditional Western hubs, right? You don't have to work in London. You can go and work in Frankfurt or New York, where there are finance industries there. If you have unique skills, that's what the most important thing is. If you have unique skills, see what other parts of the world are growing and where you can offer that. In London, we have a very diverse group of people, like other major cities. So if you're in London and maybe you're from a Nigerian background, you can speak the languages that are used in Nigeria, you have your finance experience at top bank, consider if you can get a job in Nigeria and leverage that experience, that you understand English, you understand the languages in Nigeria, you can go and work in the finance industry there. I myself am from a Asian background. I was born and raised in London, but I'm ethnically Indian, and I don't have the strongest language skills in terms of the languages used in India, but I know some of the basics, and if I considered it and if I did pursue it and improve some of those language skills, I could go and perhaps consider a job in India in the finance industry. I could also consider in places like the Middle East, where they do mostly speak English when it comes to the business world, and they typically pay higher than they do in London. They also tax you less. So you could get a 50%, well, I've seen jobs that I was capable of getting of 50% pay rises, but let's just say a 30% pay rise and only 5% tax. So that's a massive difference in terms of the UK. In the UK, if you move from one job to the other and get a 30% pay rise, but then you're still getting taxed 30 to 40%, is kind of, it's a bit of a downer, right? But if you're moving to the Middle East, maybe you have slightly different living costs. Maybe you have to rent an apartment rather than living at home you buy in London. You're going to have to rent an apartment in the Middle East. You might have slightly different lifestyle changes that you have to make, but you're getting paid a lot more. You might be being able to leverage your own skills to help them build up a smaller bank. So it might be a slightly easier job leveraging your experience and maybe doing a lot of meetings and some emails, but not necessarily the longest work hours. So these are all the type of things you can consider, alternative job markets, changing your skills, changing your industry. This is how you find a solution, because what we're dealing with here is a very difficult job market and a very difficult reality of, less jobs, really a societal breakdown between men and women, between different racial groups, economic breakdown in terms of the affordability of housing, the social cohesion and things like that, as I mentioned. So you've got many issues going on in the West. And in a sense, if you do maybe slightly shift your skill set and do go work abroad, you'll avoid a lot of the social catastrophes that are going on in the West. And also that will lead to less stress, and you can just focus on the work you're doing and live a relatively carefree life in another country. If you had a job, for example, in Qatar, you're not going to deal with woke culture, liberalism and feminism and all the nonsense associated with that. You just do your job, get paid, pay a lot less tax, spend some time on the weekend, maybe seeing the sights, going to a few restaurants, chilling with friends that you might make out there, who typically will be of the same mindset. They will be a bit more carefree and not as disillusioned with things as things are going on in the West. So there's so many options you can consider there that's worthwhile looking into. Now, I myself, I help my clients. I work with many clients to help them with their lifestyle choices around work. So firstly, I offer a free ebook which has 10 career lessons that will help you through any corporate career. I also offer a free 15-minute call where I can help you with your career or finances, any questions around that. And then thirdly, I offer a one-on-one coaching program which is called Take the Control, and it will help you find career fulfillment. We can discuss your career trajectory and how to help your career growth and your income growth. I'll help you provide time freedom, whether that's remote work, hybrid work, things like that, working from home. Help you be rich forever so you can manage your saving, budgeting and investing so you can have a long-term positive growth in your financial situation, which ultimately is to help you live a life that you actually love rather than be caught up in the current crazy scenario, as I say, economically and socially you see in the West. So this is really what I'm here to help you do. So I hope that 80% decline in London job markets, even though it is kind of daunting, it does give you some food for thought in terms of you need to plan now and plan ahead of what you need to do in your life to secure a stable financial future. So take that into account. Drop me a comment below if you have any questions. And there are 2 recommended videos on your screen right now. I'll see you next time.